Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Rama, Rama Rama.
No, you already had the kirtan. Saturday night before Rath Yatra. What's it going to be like? Let's see. No, but what is it on? It's on. Okay. You got to bring it close. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Itinamine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Devishesha Sanjavadi Paschachate Satarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gauravakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. It's the magic mantra. Makes the picture come on the screen. And many other things too. Well, the audience has been a mixed audience. You know, some people that have been with the earlier parts and some people that haven't. It makes me feel a little obliged to cover some of what we've already covered so you can be, you know, on board when as the train is moving. So this is part 4 of a 6-part series. We're not going to finish, but that's okay. When I come back again, we'll finish, and then some more. So Brahma's prayers. Very interesting. Lord Brahma, even before there was a creation, which he personally did, he became well acquainted, in the language of Bhaktisiddhanta, he became well acquainted with the ocean of truth. In addition to Tene Brahma Hrida Adi Kavaye Muyanti Yatsurayaha, the transcendental knowledge of all the Vedas. He was thoroughly conversant in all the Vedas. And then composed Sri Brahma Samhita with very elegant, elevated verses. And some time passed in the course of the creation, he became bewildered. How's that possible? If Krishna wants, anything's possible. So for the purposes of, many purposes, purposes of pastimes, purposes of lifting and securing the If he was a pure devotee, he'd be in the spiritual world. But he's not in the spiritual world, which means he's not the same as a Vaikunthavasi or a Vrajavasi. But he's getting acquainted with Vrajavasi. There's a reason. We'll, as the prayers go on, we'll find out the reason. He, having had association with Vrajavasis, he has some growing affinity for the life of Vrajavasis. That's the section number 5 of his prayers, which I guess will come on Monday evening. But before that very clear display of his hankering for an appreciation for, and hankering, explicitly our acharyas say, the words of Brahma indicate the growing of a desire in his heart to become situated in Vrindavan eternally. There's description, imagine this, along with his other qualifications, to achieve the post of Brahma, Prabhupada's explanation from the scriptures, 100 lifetimes of flawless execution of varnashram duties. Try doing it for a day. Try doing it for an hour. 100 lifetimes of flawless devotional service. And if there isn't someone that matches that description, Krishna does it himself. It's such an important post. Such an important post. But he's not a Vrajavasi. He's not a Vaikunthavasi. He has something. And that something is displayed in the course of the prayers. Whether he's got mountains of pride or slim traces of pride or something, there's something that happens when people get lots of knowledge. Pride. Sometimes, more than sometimes. It's easy, like falling off a log. It's really easy. So he acknowledges his pride, thinking himself, how do proud people think? He nails it. He was thinking himself as an independent God, independent from Krishna. God, powerful. And so far he went to examine his godliness compared to Krishna's godliness and see who would win. That was foolish. So pride, and it was removed. And in his place, he's Hari, he takes away, and then he gives. Another nice teaching Prabhupada says. Hari is so merciful, like with 1,000 hands he takes away. You're attached? Anyone attached? Watch out. Watch your back pocket. Where'd it go? Where did that one go? Where did that one go? So the objects Krishna can take. That's his special mercy. But when he takes, he gives with the same 1,000 hands. What is it he gives? He gives himself, or attachment to himself, or association of a pure devotee, so that one can develop attachment to himself, to him. Krishna is very kind. So he removed Brahma's pride and put in its place affinity for the Brajvasis, which is the Monday evening's class. Because tomorrow's Rath Yatra. No prayers of Lord Brahma. Jagannath. So, here's the sequence of the prayers. We covered the first 3. First 1 through 8, we spent 2 classes because they're so important. Verses are so important. Approaching or understanding the glories of, and thus submission unto Krishna. Glorification, glorification, glorification. And then the second was his humility. But with his humility, expressions of humility, he felt a sense of connectedness and asking for forgiveness, not excusing for his offense, but wanting no obstruction in his relationship with Krishna, ready to take whatever medicine Krishna wanted to give him for his mistake, for more than mistake, for his offense, for his foolishness, foolish offense. And he acknowledges that it was a foolish offense. So then this midday today, we discussed the inconceivable potencies of Krishna, and thus the very nature of Krishna is by material faculties, mind and intelligence, primarily in senses, inconceivable. Now, a detail of correction. Somebody that was listening to today's class wasn't in the room with us. They sent me a little text message, and so a little correction in what was said this midday today. When Putin was killed, according to, because I had just that morning I had read some article. I won't say where the article was from. It wasn't Prabhupada's article. It was an article, and it said that she was when she was killed, her body became 6 miles long, but consistently, right in the text of Shukadeva Goswami and other places, 12 miles long. 12 miles long? 12 miles long? That's pretty big. Anyway, 12 miles long. And her younger brother, he was only 8 miles long. Agasura, python, Agasura. Anyway, so that was part of the incredible, inconceivable powers of Krishna to do what he did. Inconceivable power. And that was that session. Now this is knowledge. We saw that here it's added it a little bit beyond bondage and liberation. There's knowledge that's beyond bondage. There's knowledge that's beyond liberation. So what's the distinction between knowledge and if it's not liberation? I had a discussion. I wasn't a discussion. I was listening to someone doing a monologue for 10 minutes about themselves. Whew. And on and on. They were repeating, I'm this and that and the other thing and the other thing and the other thing. And right away, this person has too much pride. And then the other thing was, what they want is liberation. I said, you're not reading Prabhupada. I didn't say it, but it's clear they're not reading Prabhupada's books. Follower of Lord Chaitanya, they're initiated devotee, wanting liberation and thinking I'm this and that. It's just the antithesis of. So my prayer to Krishna after that monologue, please help this devotee, because the help they just help them overcome their pride. Do it however you want it to be, it gentle or be it rough, whatever it is, like Lord Chaitanya says. Whatever is best, so that it actually takes the pride away. Because taking the pride away, and then it comes back again, isn't what's needed. Just taking pride away. So for any one of us, because what's in the heart is I, me, and mine. Largely that's where we start. And then we're trying to go away from that. But the prayers that we heard, we're going to hear them the same. One has to let go of that. And when you let go of that, what's left? If you let go of that, nothing's left, right? No, knowledge of self is left. So here's the other two sections. Glorious Vrijvasis, that's Monday night. And when I can return, Glories of Krishna, and then the final 20 verses of the chapter. So we're starting with verse 24. This is the Bhaktivedanta purports. Those who have received the clear vision of knowledge from the sun-like spiritual master can see you, this is the translation of the verse, can see you as the very soul of all souls and the super soul. Now Brahma is, that we went through this, and some of you should all have received. If you didn't, you can complain and somebody will send it to you. Complain to him if you didn't receive, and he'll send you. There's a nice discussion from the third session where Brahma is insisting that little Krishna, 4-year-old Krishna, is his father, and Brahma is the firstborn living being, and he gives a closed case courtroom argument, which Krishna Das Kaviraj in Chaitanya Charitamrita expands. So that's that PDF. If you didn't receive it, complain to him and he'll see that you get it. And it's really nice. It's very clear. Since we already did that, I won't go back. But Brahma, is looking at Krishna, little Brijbasi Krishna, cowherd boy Krishna, and understanding that he's his father, the sun-like spiritual master, who all see you as the very soul of all souls and the super soul. Thus, understanding your original personality through a guru, they are able to cross the ocean of illusory material existence. So that's what's on the right side. That's the illusory material existence, the ocean of illusory material existence. And there's Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his Sankirtan party sailing very smoothly through this ocean of material existence to get on the other side of material existence. The boat of transcendental knowledge and Sankirtan. So in the metaphor, that there's a lot of poetry packed, and then our acharyas help to unpack the poetry. So here's this reference to the sun-like spiritual master. Here's Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's comment. A guru who is a direct teacher is like the sun. Such a guru is not like a minor guru. Other minor gurus are like lamps. Minor guru. It's not a common usage in our language, but Krishna is the sun. And then there's little lamps from the sun. The syllable gu means darkness. Notice the darkness. And then notice the light. And the syllable ru denotes a dispeller of that darkness. So guru is a person who eradicates darkness from Skanda Purana. And when that darkness is eradicated, it comes through the representative of Krishna, the spiritual master. Because of such knowledge, they are freed. Who's freed? Those who properly see you. In which way? As the original soul. This seeing is not superficial. How is this seeing done? This is Sridhar Swami. Just a little sharing. Somebody, we discussed this a little bit, but somebody really likes Brahma's prayers. So somebody went to the trouble of making translations of something like 14 commentaries, including this one is Sridhar Swami. It's not easy to get translations of Sridhar Swami's commentaries. And then like 11, 12 other commentators, some not so well known, but so a lot of this comes from those. It's 178 pages of just commentary. And then he skips ahead. There's certain chapters he really likes, and made the translations of those commentaries. So that's where the richness of all of this comes from. With the superb eye of knowledge obtained from a guru who is like the sun. That's the verse from the translation from the Sanskrit. Guru Arka, the light of the Guru, who is like the sun. By this kind of knowledge, you are freed from material existence effortlessly. What kind of knowledge? This is Sanatana Goswami and Jiva Goswami. This knowledge means that they realize Krishna as the highest object of love, higher than everything, including themselves. The Lord becomes dearer to them more than themselves. I mean, that's in one sense, that's a statement of what humility is. It's not, humility doesn't mean low self-esteem or thinking badly about oneself. It's just right-sizing who I am. I'm very tiny. and there's the Supreme who's unlimitedly great. So that unlimitedly great, I may be dear, I have some sense of well-being because I'm a spirit soul part of the Supreme, and that's the Supreme well-being. And there's that connection. Lose that connection, that's material existence. Restore that connection, that's spiritual existence. And that's light. And making that connection is through the representative of Krishna. Here's Sridhar Swami again. The devotee crosses the material ocean means they give up, or they let go of material attachment and become attached to serving Krishna. That's Sridhar Swami. He's a very interesting personality. Very, very interesting personality. Here's a little history. It's not a biography of him, but he lived in Benares. And Benares is known to be a place of whom? Lord Shiva and Mayavadis, those two. So he knew that they're not going to like his commentary. So sometimes he allowed little passages so his colleagues wouldn't just trash him and the commentary. Some that sounded or could be read to be impersonal, but he's not. Then others, it was a period of time when they would compete over scholarship. And so many others wrote commentaries. And then there was this hubbub over which is the best commentary, and nobody could agree. The story goes, here's something they all agreed. All these different commentaries were put in the temple of Lord Shiva. What's the name of the Venkatesh? What's the name of that deity in Benares? Vishwanath. Okay. You close the door. And when the deity is going to decide. So when they opened the door in the morning, the deity was holding his commentary. Discussion was over. I don't know how true that story is. A great personality, very, very devotional, and really against the current of his time. There are Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and in his time, it was also right after Shankaracharya. So, like, everywhere, left, right, and sideways, Shankaracharya, it's all one. And then in came other acharyas that said it's not all one. It was an uphill challenge. So letting go with material attachment, that's the impersonal. But the other is so for a purpose, so that you can have service to Krishna. Now there's two little sections that are interactive. And here's the next slide is the interactive, one of the interactive ones. But well, at least I'm going to ask, I'll read what it says. Meditate on or recollect your first contact with your spiritual master, or coming in contact with Srila Prabhupada through his books or some temple or something. Try to remember that time, the first time. Where was the place? What were the circumstances of your life? And what transpired when that first contact came. Then it says write it down, but just meditate on it. And I'll stop speaking so you can actually do that. And then next, what feelings awoke from that first contact or first few contacts with your spiritual master or Srila Prabhupada, and are helping or very significantly sustaining your spiritual life now. It's a nice exercise. And then take that feeling or contemplation, meditation, and place it firmly in your heart. And then consider what practice you can do going forward in time to consciously nourish and reciprocate with that gift that you've been given. It's called bhakti. So I'm going to stop speaking and let you all contemplate. This would be nice, having nice soft kirtan while this is going on, but that's another time. I'm going to go back to the Bhagavatam itself, because the context is important to help to support and nourish this practical application exercise. What Brahma, even before creation, he had realization of the personality of Godhead. Doesn't he? he knew of his relationship with the personality of Godhead. And based upon that relationship with the personality of Godhead, he moved. So by becoming illumined within his heart, there's many nice teachings about seeing with one's eyes, but before the transcendental way of experiencing the personality of Godhead commonly is rather than through these eyes, because these eyes are limited, so one can see and experience personal association with the Supreme within one's heart, much like our six Goswamis did, for example. And they had direct revelation as much as Vyas had direct revelation in his trance of samadhi. So, with that, then this experience that Brahma has just had is revisiting that whole experience, and he's seeing Krishna with his eyes, and he's understanding what, reviving his understanding of what he understood long before there was even a creation, or light to see something that's created before there was light, darkness in all directions. Krishna is reciprocating with him, including the situation of the offense, and thus the repentance of heart, and the cleansing from his heart of pride, and then these expressions of who he's speaking to. Now, this detachment from all of the things, because there was a previous verse in his prayers where he was saying, I can't understand you. And I'm in the place that I'm in, I'm completely detached, because that was the verse, and now it's going to come up again. Completely detached from the sense of proprietorship of material anything. But still, I can't understand you, what to speak of. Having some understanding of the feelings that you're feeling when you engage in your loving pastime with your devotees. Like stealing yogurt from the storerooms of the residents of Vrindavan. A person who mistakes a rope for a snake becomes fearful, but he then gives up his fear upon realizing that the so-called snake doesn't exist. There's something. It's a rope, but it's not a snake. The snake doesn't exist. The appearance of the snake exists, but it's not a snake. Similarly, for those who fail to recognize you as the Supreme Soul of all souls, the expansive, illusory material existence arises. But knowledge of you at once causes it to subside. What's material existence? It's an apparition. It's something that appears to be that not what it appears to be. And what it appears to be is, in principle, a paraphernalia or an object, which is meant for bringing me enjoyment or bringing me misery. But it's all about me. And if that sense of the absence of Krishna is gone, the expansive, illusory material existence is gone, then knowledge of Krishna as the Supreme Soul, or say it the other way, as knowledge, it's a way of a litmus test that you can evaluate your own awakened state of Krishna consciousness within all circumstances, just like the subway car, and seeing super soul, super soul, super soul, super soul. And then there's the individual soul, then there's super soul. So Krishna is that. The material creation is a finite, this is Prabhupada's BBT publication. Actually, it's BBT because at the end of chapter 13, Prabhupada had finished his life was over, and his followers started with chapter 14, and then the rest of the cantos and chapters in canto 10 and 11 and 12. So this BBT. The material creation is a finite ocean of ignorance, as opposed to infinite, in which foolish living entities, such as material scientists, are unceremoniously dunked into the ocean by the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Look at those hands lifting up in the air. Poor guys. And, but they asked for it. They didn't ask to be dumped into the ocean, but they asked for independence. There was no such thing. To be trapped in the world in which all things are born and die is certainly a fearful experience. Again, this is BBT language. Anyone trapped in a dark place naturally becomes fearful. Since material life is always covered by the darkness of ignorance, every conditioned soul is fearful. Where does fear arise from? According to the Bhagavatam. Who has the answer? Fear arises from? So just say it in English. Fear arises from absorption in duality. Absorption in duality. Absorption in the bodily conception. So there's the soul and there's the body and duality. Within the material world, there's duality. Absorption in duality. Absorption in identification with the body. Fear arises. It's like it's part of darkness, is fearfulness. It's part of ignorance, is fearfulness. Ignore who you really are, and it's fearful. No longer accepting who you're not as who you are, and there's mitigation or completely the fearfulness of material existence is gone. Then there's another kind of fearfulness. We'll hear about this. For the person ignorant of the Lord, the swarup of the jiva does not manifest because of Maya. Then one thinks that he is the body, Vibharyaya. This is Sridhar Swami. Then, by absorption in a false identity, he develops fear. This is well known among people in Maya. Fearfulness. This and that and the other varieties of fearfulness. And the self is lost. So here's another reflection exercise. Let's discuss it during prasadam time. Maybe we'll just do it right now. What are some self-identities that you feel afraid of losing? Maybe, we can just take a little break. Reflect and identify circumstances which trigger your fear of losing them. Write it down. So should we have a discussion? Because people like it. Everything gets animated again. Three minutes. Find some person or persons, 2, 3, whatever, 4, whatever, and discuss. Better be somebody you're friendly with, because who's going to share what you're afraid of? Take it away. Okay, let's move on. I expected a big wall of silence, and that it was a tough thing to talk about. No, you can't stop talking about it. The footnote gives the whole verse, Bhayam Datviyam Abhindibeshi Taksyat. And after what's on the screen, this is Siddhar Swami's commentary. I want to read an interesting translation. It's not the BBT translation, but it's an interesting translation. Since Maya created by the Lord creates fear, the intelligent person worships the Lord, the controller of Maya. Logical. No, most people don't like fear, but they don't like worshiping the Lord either. So they get fear. And it's just part of the landscape. Here's the translation. Nice translation. For the jiva averse to the Lord, there will be samsara, consisting of identity with the body and lack of identity with the soul, because of his absorption in the material coverings of the soul, arising from the Lord's Maya. I know. It's in my notes. You can't see my notes. I don't know how to get you to see my notes either. It's in the notes section. Should I read it again? Because you were just disappointed not being able to see it. Next time around, I'll make it visible. I'll do it again. It's nice. It's nice. It's nice to hear it again. For the jiva averse to the Lord, there will be samsara, consisting of identity with the body and lack of identity with the soul, because of his absorption in the material coverings of the soul arising from the Lord's Maya. Therefore, the intelligent person, taking Guru as his Lord and very self, should fully worship the Lord with pure bhakti. It's really simple. Why is it so difficult? Oh, lotus-eyed Lord, this is not chapter 14. This is chapter 2 from Canto 10. Oh, lotus-eyed Lord, by concentrating on your pure form of Shuddha Sattva in meditation, some people cross the ocean of nescience as easily as one steps over the hoof prints of a calf. By those lotus feet, which act as a boat obtained by the grace of the devotees. Nice. Krishna's appearance. So Vasudeva and Devaki offering prayers to Krishna as he appeared in the prison house. Next verse, text 26, chapter 14. The conception of material bondage and the conception of liberation are both manifestations of ignorance. Ooh. This conception is outside the scope of true knowledge. What's the scope of true knowledge? There we are. That's the jiva, that skinny guy. Bondage and liberation cease to exist when one correctly understands that the pure spirit soul is distinct from matter and always fully conscious. That's self-realization. At that time, bondage and liberation no longer have any significance, just as day and night have no significance from the perspective of the sun. Very logical. Very logical. And here's the BBT commentary on this verse, and we're going to hear Sanatana Goswami's commentary also. Material bondage is illusion, because the living entity actually has no relationship with the material world. Because of false ego, the conditioned soul identifies himself with matter. Therefore, so-called liberation is simply giving up of an illusion rather than release from actual bondage. Very logical. Yes? Here's Sanatana Goswami. This verse explains that liberation is not the goal of life. When one reflects on Atma, the eternal form of knowledge, which is pure and beyond matter, liberation becomes false, like bondage. Atma, as we know, it has different meanings. Commonly, body, mind, and self. Atma can mean the body, Atma can mean mind, Atma can mean the soul. Here, this is Bhanu Swami's translation of Sanatana Goswami's commentary. So here's Atma, for the context of the Sanskrit, that's what it means. It's the eternal form of knowledge, of which is pure and beyond matter. Liberation becomes false, like bondage. Text 27. Just see the foolishness of those ignorant persons who consider you to be some separated manifestation of illusion, and who consider you to be the material body. Does that sound familiar? This is Mayavad. Maya covers Krishna. So Krishna is a material body. Krishna is the material body, or Maya, covering Atma or Brahman. Brahman covered becomes Krishna. So I am also Brahman covered, and so therefore I'm Krishna. Do that again, please. Yeah, sure. Krishna is Brahman, the absolute truth. And the absolute truth is covered by Maya. Wait a minute. If it's the absolute truth, how did the absolute truth get covered by something which doesn't exist? Well, it doesn't exist. You just have to realize that it doesn't exist. Come again? It's word jugglery. Mayavad is word jugglery. So as Krishna is Brahman covered by a material body with the name Krishna, that's the nice label. I have a material body, so I'm also Krishna, because I'm Brahman covered by a material body. But that material body doesn't exist. And so I'm Brahman. I'm Krishna. Ta-da! Smile, everybody. You're Krishna too, don't worry. We're all Krishna. It's all one. And some people believe that, like, that's it. That's the truth. Once drinking some of that poison, phew, they become attached. Such fools conclude that the Supreme Soul is to be searched for somewhere outside of your Supreme Personality. That's the verse. Vishwanath's commentary. Those who think they are knowledgeable of spiritual things, but actually are not, do not respect your form in Vraja. They're beating empty husks. We already discussed that. That was a nice metaphor used previously by Brahma. Those that are using the process of speculative knowledge to realize the truth, it's like beating chaff or the empty husks to get some wheat. Oh, they don't get anything. They get hard labor. They get blisters in their hand, but no grain, no fruit. That was a short verse in purport. Here's 28. Oh, unlimited Lord, the saintly devotees seek you out within their bodies by rejecting everything separate from you. So again, this emphasis on detachment, knowledge and detachment, jnana vairagya, but jnana vairagya that's arising from bhakti. Isn't that what the Canto 1, Chapter 2 says? Who knows the verse from Canto 1, Chapter 2? Vasudevi Bhagavati. You know the verse? No? You know the verse? You know the verse? Yes, you do. That's those who. I'll say it slowly. You say it with me if you know the verse. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojataha Janiyate Ashu Vairagyam Jnanam Cha Yad Ahaitukam Jnanam Cha Yad Ahaitukam. So causelessly, Ahaituki, knowledge and detachment arise from bhakti. Bhakti done to Vasudeva. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojataha Jani Ashu Vairagyam Jnanam Cha Yadahaitukam. Attachment to Krishna in loving devotion, that's our life. It leads to knowledge and detachment. Knowledge and detachment that's not cosmetic. Knowledge and detachment that's just detachment. And real knowledge. What's real knowledge? Real knowledge of what's what? The truth, or the self, or that which is eternal. The soul and the Supreme Soul, and the relationship between them. That's eternal. And everything that's separate, what is there that's separate? There's no such thing. Seeing separate, that's Maya. There's no such thing. Well, put it very simply, I like how Prabhupada made things so simple. I've said this many, many times. There's two things, Krishna and Krishnas. And there's not a third thing. There's no such thing as a third thing. Because a third thing would be something outside of Krishna. There's no such thing. It's Krishna or Krishnas. There's no void in the creation of God. Then some people stand on the philosophy of voidism. Commentary. Sanatana Goswami. Where do wise people search for you? The sadhus seek you who are present as the pervader, inside out. Now, what does inside out mean? Guess what? He's going to answer what inside out means. Searching inside out? What does that mean? Your devotees seek you inside their bodies. Not only that, they seek you outside too. They first seek you within by rejecting an unreal thing, because without that rejection, there's no experience of trance. They reject that which is false and take shelter of Atma Tattva, the truth. They also reject, continued Sanatana Goswami, any wrong idea about the nature of Ishvara. How do you reject the wrong idea? You have to know what the right idea is. How do you know what the right idea is? By association of the spiritual master or sadhu or a knower of the absolute truth. So rejecting of anything else, the wrong idea about the nature of Ishvara, and by thinking instead, I am not he, I am not the Lord, for I belong to him. They reject everything unless it is related to you. By remembering you through hearing, that happens automatically. So much emphasis on hearing, because the 9 processes of bhakti begin with hearing, and it's in the middle and in the end. And the hearing is from one who has the proper broadcaster. You return your receiver on with the proper broadcaster. And Krishna is the proper broadcaster. The infallible supreme. So you repeat the words of the infallible supreme, that speaking is infallible, because it's repeating the words of the supreme. It's quite simple. Here's a verse from Canto 2, chapter 9. This is one of the Chatur Shloki verses of the Bhagavatam. Most of you have been around for a while. And for anyone here is not familiar with the Chatur Shloki verses, Chatur means 4. There are 4 essential verses in the entire Srimad Bhagavatam, found in Canto 2, Chapter 9, and they're expressing the essence of the entire Bhagavatam. Here's one of them. O Brahma, whatever appears to be of any value, if it is without relation to me, has no reality. Know it as my illusory energy, the reflection which appears to be in darkness. So, darkness. And it's over there somewhere there's a light, and over here there's a mirror. And you don't see the light because your back is to the light. You just see the darkness. And then, but you also see, it's possible, you can see the reflection of the light in the mirror. What's the reflection of the light in the mirror? It's just a reflection of light. It's not real light, it's a reflection of light. If that which appears to be real, that has no connection with Krishna, it's his illusory energy. That reflection which appears to be in darkness. That's how Krishna's illusory energy works. It's a reflection of the real thing. And he's saying it in many. He built this place. The land of illusion, the land of Maya. He constructed it. He took Krishna's plan and Krishna's ingredients and everything. But he knows very well it's Maya. It's not what it appears to be. It's not that there's nothing, but it's not what it appears to be. And what's that something that it is? It's Krishna's energy. But you see it's Krishna's energy if you see it's from Krishna. If you don't see it's from Krishna, you see Maya. You just see the reflection in darkness. There's a lot of that going on, isn't it? Woo! The world is moving on the wheels of Maya. Different. And not just in animal kingdom and plant kingdom and fish kingdom, bird kingdom. The human kingdom. Very accomplished at Maya. And not having a clue that it's illusory. It's not what it appears to be. And who would know that better than Brahma? Krishna would know. So here's the next verse. This is a well-known verse. Let's recite the Sanskrit together. Atapi te deva padambujam dvaya prasada leshanu grahita eva hi janati tattvam bhagavan mahimno nachanya eko pichiram vichinvan. Many of you have heard this verse before. It's one of Lord Brahma's prayers. Very celebrated verse. If one is favored by even a slight trace of the mercy of your lotus feet, he can understand the greatness of your personality. But Those who speculate are unable to know you. He's really down on speculative knowledge. He's got a lot of knowledge, and he's down on speculative knowledge. But he's a good teacher because he knows the difference between the two: speculative knowledge and what's real knowledge. And how do you get real knowledge? Even a slight trace of the mercy of your lotus feet. Prasada lesha anugrahita evahi. Well, screen's jumping. Ecstatic. Prasada lesha anugraha. The conditioned soul struggles for happiness through sense gratification and for knowledge through mental speculation. Both processes ultimately bring him to a morose and hopeless condition. Looks like graffiti. Looks like a lot of looks like New York City. There's so much graffiti. I know how they get up in these difficult places and write graffiti. They're risking their life to get to some of these places. Frustration. If the conditioned soul surrenders to the lotus feet of the Lord Krishna, and thus acquires even a trace of his causeless mercy, the whole situation is changed, and living entity can begin his real life of Krishna consciousness. And the fellow looks a little bewildered, but keep going. Don't expect you're not going to see any bewilderment in front of you, but the goal is worthy pursuing. And it may be just like this image, it just looked like what Krishna looked like, but not really meeting Krishna. So but keep going. Although your glory is unbounded this way, is very obvious, nonetheless, even a person who has good discernment can approach you only by your grace. We heard the same idea. Where did we hear the same idea? Who can remember where we heard the same idea? Huh? Yeah. There's another verse also where this is Sukadeva Goswami's celebrated verse where Maya Sukaya Param Udva Tobi Mudhan. The verse starts with the speculators, they may achieve Brahma Sukh, but they can't see you. But it's possible those that have the inclination, but there's some requirement. They have the opportunity to hear topics of Krishna, which we're doing. And then it's possible to go beyond the Brahma Sukh idea and achieve Krishna's association. That's Jiva Goswami. Any other one who is devoid of mercy, who is alone, without associating with anyone, or even someone who is the best, such as Rudra, even though that person is pondering, what is the nature of his glory like, and what is the extent of it, by studying scriptures and is seeking, by practicing yoga, does not know it. What's it? It means Krishna's glory. The merciful nature of Krishna and the loving reciprocation of Krishna. It can't be understood by speculation. He is attained only by one whom he chooses. Gosh, that's a nice topic. Very nice topic. The Lord reveals his form only to that person. His grace is received only by bhakti. Now, I recently heard a class given by Hari Parshad Prabhu that was, for 1 hour discussing this particular point. I'll just give a little reference because it was a very nice class. He was using the reference of King Nriga, Bhagavatam lovers. Who was King Nriga? King Nriga. Well, he was a king. And he was well known for being a charitable king. He gave many cows. So many cows, like where did he keep all his cows? But he gave many cows to brahmanas. And he was a little proud of his piety. Pride sneaks in there. Somebody has something, they get proud of that something. So there was a boo-boo. It wasn't like bad, but one of the cows he gave to a brahmana. That cow wandered back into the herd of cows, and he gave that same cow to another brahmana. And then brahmana number 2 was confronted by brahmana number 1 and said, "Hey, wait a minute, that's my cow." "It's your cow. This king just gave me the cow." "Well, he gave me this. He gave the cow to me." And then they had a quarrel. Brahmins quarreling. It's not nice, but it sometimes happens. So the king was brought in to settle. The king said, it appears that the cow was given to Brahmin 1 it wandered into the herd, and he gave it to Brahmin number 2. So how about this? Brahmin number 2, I'll give you 10 cows. "No, I want that cow." Brahmin number 1, I'll give it 20 cows. "No, I want that cow." "And because you took my property, gave it to someone else, I curse you, you become a lizard." This pious king became a lizard. And then he was sent to the court of Yamaraj. It's a very involved, in the court of Yamaraj, Navaraj said, you made a boo-boo. So you have a choice. You can take the fruits of all your piety, and then there's this, it's going to happen because you made a boo-boo, you get some suffering. And, or you can take your suffering first, and then it's cleared, and then you got all your piety. Which one do you choose? I'll get the bad out of the way, so all that's just left is good. That was his choice. Okay, become a lizard. Poof, he became a lizard. And he became a lizard at the bottom of a well in a forest. And one time, some of Krishna's sons, Samba and some others were playing, and a ball fell into. They were playing ball, and it fell into the well. So they're trying to get the ball out of the well. It was a dry well. There wasn't any water in it, and they couldn't reach. So they called Krishna for some help. So Krishna knew the whole program. So Krishna extended. He had a very rubbery arm. He reached to the bottom of the well, and touched a lizard. The lizard became King Nriga. The boys were like, "Wow!" And then Nriga made a comment, explained, "How is it possible that I was able to see you?" And then there's a nice verse which is commented upon by Jiva Goswami in his Sandarbhas to explain this. And there's two parts. By the mercy of Krishna, and what prompts the mercy of Krishna? Bhakti Devi. What's Bhakti Devi? Bhakti Devi is an expansion of Radharani. So this whole explanation by Jiva Goswami, you get Radharani's mercy, you get Krishna's mercy. You get Krishna's mercy, you get Krishna. You want Krishna? You You want to see Krishna? Get Radharani's mercy. You don't have to become a lizard, but you just get Radharani's mercy. Because without without the mercy of Shri, the energy, the goddess of fortune, the personality that is the merciful feature of the personality of Godhead, you're not going to get the personality of Godhead. So it's possible. He is attained only by one whom he chooses. If Krishna chooses, you're safe. You're like, everything's nice. And if Krishna doesn't choose, it's this bondage or liberation, either way. Knowledge, it's either way. It's illusion. Illusion, take your pick. Which kind of prison cell would you like? I don't want a prison cell. So stick to trying to understand by speculative knowledge, and it's the prison cell. And one may think in a prideful way, this is a very nice prison cell. Better than theirs. And then you stay in the prison cell, life after life. Is there relief? Yes. He is attained by one whom he chooses. And what prompts him to choose? The goddess of fortune says, give some mercy to this fellow or lady. Okay. And that lady, that's Shri, or the expansion of Radharani as Bhakti Devi. You get some bhakti, a little, Lesha, a little, and value it. You don't have to be, way up there. Because we're not way up there. You don't have to be way up there. You have to be, at least some. And some that you value that some because it's transcendental. And transcendental, we heard already. Transcendental, how can you measure transcendental? It's little. Little is transcendental. And it has a way of expanding on its own, not something that's me. It's the mercy of Krishna expands and expands and expands. Okay, here's another. This is the last slide. So we're going to break after this. What is one quality that you would like to cultivate for the pleasure of the Lord and invite His grace into your life further and further? Hint. Select a quality that you may have some resistance to. Supposing you don't know what that quality is. Ask your best friend. Ask your wife or husband. Ask your kids. Ask a dear friend. And sincerely, and you'll get an earful. Right? How do you plan to remind yourself to invite this quality into your heart and practice it? You did really well with the other one that was very embarrassing, so you take this one and your little discussion groups, and we'll take a few minutes. I'll let you go. Go, 1, 2, 3. Okay. Let's get focused again. Wind up your discussions so we can move into the final part of this evening's presentation. Anybody who's our first person to raise their hand saying they'd like to discuss something or share something? Yeah.
Maybe I should move this.
Okay, turn it the other way. Didn't work. Just do without it.
This is from Sri Radhika.
Wow.
She is watching live.
Really?
Yeah. I guess she got a break from her training or something.
Okay, she can't be giving a class and listening live at the same time.
You explained how our identification with our upadhis leads to fear. And it is also my experience that identifying with those very upadhis can serve us on our devotional path.
Really?
For example, while identifying myself as a parent leads to many fears, being a parent also serves as my greatest impetus on a daily basis to strive for the qualities of a devotee.
Okay.
This path of dovetailing my upadhis to support my bhakti can be a real slippery slope.
Yeah. Ooh.
Guru Maharaj, would you?
The principle is fine. Go ahead.
will you be willing to provide some guideposts on this path?
Attachment to Krishna is the guidepost. Attachment to Krishna means detachment from Maya. So it being in the role of a mother or parent or whatever other upadhi things there are. That's not our. If you think that's who you are, you got a rope around your neck. That's limiting your capacity to help your dependents. But if the mood is, Krishna has given me some service, and my purpose, my existence is to serve him, then the rope is gone. So then it's no longer identifying with the upadhi, but it's accepting a service that Krishna has sanctioned, provided and sanctioned, and you're doing that service for him. In other words, negation is not what sarva upadhi vinir muktam means. We're not impersonalists or mayavadis either. So we accept the circumstances, stanes to tuck. My stane is you stay in whatever the situation is that you have been given. And we've been given something because of our affinity for matter, okay. But you accept that, and then you engage that. Shruti Gatam Tanaban Manovir. You leave that part aside, and it's Maya. That's the upadhi misused. Then the identity properly used is combined with hearing. Then that capacity, tendency, whatever, is to be used in Krishna's service. And as she said, it's a slippery slope. It's easy to say, now I feel justified to do X, Y, Z, when I'm not, I don't have the spiritual qualification. That's the slippery slope part. Yes, behind you. Are we going to hear the microphone, the speaker system? Screen?
It should work, yeah.
Go ahead.
So, Guru Maharaj, I have two fragments of thought, and I'm glad you spoke about the sthana sthita. So, one is that as in our material circumstance, I feel like sthana sthita is like perpetuating the disease condition. As in, if there is a circumstance that gets us to a disease condition, sthana sthita may not really help. Like you may have to extract yourself out of that situation.
But you have to start somewhere.
Yes, so my question is, it seems almost that it would be beneficial for devotees to extract themselves and be in a bubble, to strengthen themselves, and then transplant them into a social system where they can, now that they have better spiritual strength, they can actually go on with their family duties and services.
Sounds like brahmachari life.
Which has passed for many people.
But, it depends on when you start. If you start in the middle of grihastha life, that's not appropriate. Correct. But if you start at a young age, then it's appropriate.
Correct. So for people that have passed at brahmachari stage.
By age.
By age.
Not by qualification.
Correct. But the social circumstance is
Then
very
it's not-
incriminating at this
then
point.
It's not age to tuck. That's it. You want to argue? Go tell it to Lord Chaitanya. So he's quiet now. As a starting, you have to start somewhere. So that's the starting point. So supposing you gave this scenario, someone's already grahasta, and they may or may not yet have children, and there they are, and they bump into bhakti, and they like it. Now, what's that person to do? Chuck it, right? No. Tane sata. But okay, but that's a compromise, isn't it? But the power of hearing, Shruti Gatantanavan Manovir, has a power that can lift them out of that stuck. That's the higher taste platform from the mixed platform. And that's the mean. Exactly that, Lord, the topic, we discussed it. You may not have been here for that class. It was verse number 3, that was the first class. Lord Chaitanya accepted, yes. The question to Ramananda Roy was, what's the goal of life and the means to achieve it? So the means to achieve it is Stane Satak, and then the hearing. What's the goal? Becoming attached. How do you get attached if you're already attached? You stay in your position. It's a little bit like Lord Chaitanya speaking to Raghunath Das Goswami, who was like obsessed with leaving the worldliness of his father and being with Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya scolded him or admonished him, saying, don't be restless. Stay in your position. He didn't use that same phrase, but go back home. Act in the world. This is the words of Lord Chaitanya, more or less. Act in the world as if attached. But inwardly you cultivate your attachment for Krishna, and in short time you'll be with Krishna. Krishna has accepted you by that, and you'll be with him. So go back. Now, back to the frame of your question. George Harrison, one discussion with Prabhupada, said, yuck. I don't like it. You know, living in the material world. He sang a song about it. Nasty. I don't want to be here. And then he was saying, I have such attraction for chanting and being with the devotees, but I got all these other people that are harassing me. You know, in his case, a big thing was lawyers. He was making so much money, they wanted some of his money. So they did lawyer stuff to get his money. There's details, without all the detail. It was hellish. Painful. Super painful. He wasn't attached to the money, but for example, it was the concert for Bangladesh was a big hit. It was right in New York City, and the money was supposed to go to help people that were in a destitute condition. And none of the money, or almost none of the money, got there because the lawyers were doing lawyering. I don't want to be here. And Prabhupada said that this is what Lord Chaitanya said to Ramananda Roy. Don't be restless. You're able to do something that the rest of us are not able to do. Your gift of music can help spread the chanting of the holy name of Krishna far wider than all of us put together. So do it. And that means you got to be with all these unpleasant people. Do it for Krishna. Stane stita, shrutikatam tanavan manobir. Practical. And boy, did he do it. So we can do it. You can do it. You can be. I'm not going to get married. No, thank you. But you know. Okay.
Thanks, Mark.
Anything else? Oh, okay. Did you have something? No, okay.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Thank you for this class filled with the practical applications. A lot of churning is happening.
Mm.
I was just thinking about that last slide as you were mentioning King Nriga's example, that it's not his piety or none of that actually mattered. It's only when Krishna chose to give his mercy, he was able to get that darshan. That's just going deeper into the heart, that it's not our own endeavor. I'm connecting that to the identities part, Guru Maharaj. So in the beginning, it might be something similar to Gangnaren Prabhu, so you could respond accordingly. So in the beginning, when we meet the devotees and start practicing devotional service, there was some kind of a, it could be artificial or superficial. There is a lot of detachment and so much eagerness to connect deeply. But I'm thinking this Thane Sthita, because of lack of maturity and also the pervasive attachment to the material things, it's just, I feel like it's going opposite direction. And in addition, the complacency and the material attachments, it's actually taking me opposite. And Krishna may say, okay, forget about it. Initially, I saw you being eager, so I can give you the mercy. And now, okay, you do whatever.
That's sorry, but that conception may be autobiographical, but it's not the principle of spiritual progress. You know, if the principle of spiritual progress is once in that early stage, when the initial rah, and you get lots and lots and lots of mercy, that's it. Quit. Take sannyas. And is that going to maintain? No way. It's not real. It's hallucination. So what's real? Stane satak. Shruti kata. So that the emphasis goes to the power of hearing. Supposing one's eagerness to hear slackens, that happens, then, then what do you do when that happens? You come to the Festival of Holy Name. That's what you do. Go to a japa retreat or go to a kirtan event and whoop, so it's an internal commitment. And if that slackens, you know, all the king's horses and all the king's men can't put Humpty Dumpty back together again. I learned that when I was a kid. So it's sadhusanga ongoing. And if one isn't prepared for the ongoing, then it's complacency. And then, So what's the antidote for complacency? Enthusiasm. Utsahan. You know, that's Rupa Goswami's teaching. Guess what? That's one of the topics for the Festival of the Holy Name. In fact, it's the lead topic. It's the brand for the whole Festival of Holy Name. Utsahan. Nishchayat Daryat. Rupa Goswami ki jai. Just hold on to Rupa Goswami or ask him to hold on to you and have a nice relationship with him where he's helping you and you're eager for his help. And other devotees that are representatives of Rupa Goswami-ness. Some devotees remain enthusiastic. Be with those devotees. And serve them. Honor them. Help them. Carry forward the mission. And that's enthusiasm. That rekindles enthusiasm. Okay. That's it. You're making it easy for me today. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.